Okay, so I've calmed down. This is a good thing. After pacing around a little bit, breathing deeply, and talking to my friend Robin, texting with her. She's so awesome. Um, and she's so supportive and has such a different way of looking at things than me, than I. Um, but she's, one of the things she pointed out is like, this is about surrender. That's kind of the lesson that you're learning here. I'm like, okay, I've been thinking, okay, I did surrender. I did. So where's like something I told her, like, not last time, but when I really learned the lesson of surrender was when I was freaking out one time about money and was just like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I know that you're going to take care of me, and whether or not that is giving me money or not, I'm hoping it is, but whatever ends up being the situation is fine. And that's what's going to happen. And I'm just going to accept it, even if it means like I have to get my butt kicked. And $1,900 showed up. A random check for $1,900 for the second time showed up. So I was like, oh, okay, the surrender thing's fine, which is why I was fine jumping on a plane and coming down here without any money. But I think what the situation is, maybe seems to make sense, is that it's not like I was kind of like, okay, I surrendered. Where's my treat? Like a dog, you teach a dog a trick. Like she taught me to do a trick, the surrender trick with the $1,900, and now I'm like, okay, I surrender. Give me my treat. And she's like, no, kind of the way the dog has to learn. Like you do something, you train the dog using a treat, and then eventually though the dog has to do it without a treat. It's like, oh, so it's not that I surrendered and I'm being like punished or screwed or something like that. Not screwed. I mean, like, that I'm taking responsibility for it, but like that I'm bad, or I did the wrong thing, or everything is, anyway, whatever it is that I was thinking. I think it's just continuing on. The surrender thing is, I got to continue to surrender. It's not like, okay, one and done. You're done. You surrendered. Great. Here's the solution. It's more like you got to keep surrendering. So I'm just going to keep surrendering. This is what you want, universe. This is what you want. I will do my very best to take every right action that I can. You just got to keep doing the next right thing, right? And judgment about that is just your best judgment when you're not coming from a place of fear and lack and panic and desperation. It's about kind of being in a situation that causes that, or that triggers that in you, and in which you feel triggered, right? Like let's be a bit clear with the words here. The situation doesn't do the triggering, right? You are triggered in response to the situation. So I think that the lesson, not that I think things are that black and white, but I think what is called for in the situation is not being like, hey, I did what you asked me to do, what's going on? But like being like, okay, we're gonna continue down this road. All right, I guess this is where we're going. Whatever you say, universe, we'll just go with what you are gonna go with, because this is something I was talking to Robin about. It's like she's like, oh, you're doing, she's so supportive. I love her. But she's saying, what you're doing, being able to do this consciousness work when you're having these like panic crises in the first chakra kind of thing, like that takes some ovaries of steel, and I applaud you, and I'm like, thank you, that makes me feel really good. And that there's no real choice here. Like, it's like I clearly have no control at all, and I can either fight or just be like, hey, I have no control, and I mean, like, I just clearly have no control here. And so all right, universe, you know, Jesus, you take the wheel. Only it's not Jesus. But Jesus is cool. I'm not saying Jesus isn't cool. I'm just saying it's more universal, right? Universe, take the wheel. You go ahead. You know more about what you're doing. You know, the whole 13.8 billion years of being in existence and being in charge of everything. Well, maybe not in charge, right? But like being everything. Like, maybe you know a little bit more than I do. So, all right. There is nothing else I can do except surrender. The only other choice is to, like, as I said to Robin, like, descend into madness and lose all my hair. Like, those are the two choices: surrender or, like, seriously get put in an institution. So I'm going with surrender. I think this is the right option. You know, just gratitude, right? Like, because whatever this is about, whatever it is gonna end up being, or it is, because gonna end up being is like a future reality that doesn't exist yet, like whatever it is right now, is what it is, and I can't do anything about it. And the truth is, none of us can do anything about anything. I mean, to varying degrees, little things, but, like, let's be honest, these things that happen are out of our control, and, like, you can't count on them. You can't, even if someone says, you know, I'm gonna pay you the money that I owe you tomorrow, you can't count on it. So, all right, so if that's how it's gonna be, that's how it's gonna be. And freaking out about it doesn't help. And that, in fact, it makes it worse. Like, a lot worse. There's no reason to freak out about it. I don't have control over it. I don't have control. So why freak out? It's like, relax and release and surrender, right? All right, universe, you take the wheel. And I'm grateful for that. Like, because honestly, it's a good lesson to learn, but I think surrender is the best thing that you can do in any situation, really. I mean, to the universe, not surrender, you know, to the universe. Okay. But, yeah. Calming down. And not, it's the remnants, though, right? It's the remnants of different ways of thinking. Like, one of the things I was talking to Robin about was, I was like, I feel like I'm being punished. She's like, that's not what's happening. That's an old way of thinking. I'm like, yeah, I know that that's like a leftover from the whole paternalistic, God's got a finger pointed at you and you're going to hell kind of way of thinking about things. And it's not so much really that I think I'm being punished. It's more like the vibrations that my thoughts, feelings, and actions are putting out are not the right ones, or not the ones, or not the right, not that they're not the right ones, but they're causing the situation that I'm in, right? But the fact is, we don't really know anything. Like, you can make shit up in your brain, but the fact is, you don't know what's actually happening in the ether, like the whole quantum realm. You have no idea. I have no idea. Who knows what's being created, and I'm not even going to try. Like, there's no reason to try to figure that out, because there's no way I can possibly either guess what's going on, or if I do somehow miraculously guess what's going on, there's no way for me to know that I have the right guess. So, okay, universe. Okay. Cool. All right. Bring it on. Yeah. So I think that's a good lesson to learn. And I think it is. It's like I thought my lesson was done and I was like, okay, I surrendered. Where's the good stuff? I did what I was supposed to. Where's my treat? That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Surrender and keep surrendering, even as the situation gets what in your mind is worse, right? Because the thing is, even though things are getting worse, according to your mind's not right. It's not correct in that sense. And you're not your mind, you're not your feelings, right? You are the consciousness. And honestly, nothing can really hurt the consciousness, right? Like, I'm okay. I'm not in danger. I'm not in danger. Nothing bad is really going to happen no matter what in this situation. It's not like I'm going to get eaten by a crocodile. It's not like someone's going to break down the door and take all my shit or worse. You know, like I'm okay. I'm in a hotel room surrounded by a bunch of, like, honestly, I am the poorest person in this, by far, in this conference that I am attending of relatively well, I mean, like, some really, really wealthy people and some, like, people on their way to being really wealthy, or who are wealthy and on the way to being more wealthy, whatever the case may be. I'm surrounded by people who have a lot of money and who actually really like me. I've discovered this for some reason. I don't know why, but apparently they like me. So we're good. I'm not going to be out on the street. And if whatever happens, happens. Like, if it ends up that I don't get any clients and this other client doesn't pay me the money that he owes me, and this other client doesn't pay me the money that he owes me, and I have no money, I still gotta look at my flight. I did book a flight home, but they didn't confirm it, so I have to call about that. But I do have the credit to get home. I can get home. I can get home. And you know, on the way from the airport to the hotel, I got on the bus, right? And I was like, so I don't have the $2. If I give you my card, if I try and buy it, like, it's gonna be declined. So I don't have then I know I can't give you cash. And even if I could, I don't have any cash. So I don't have $2. Can I please get on the bus anyway? And he's like, yeah, okay. And then there was a guy who got on right after me, and he got off in the next stop, and he gave me his card that he's like, I still have money on this. I don't need it anymore. So you can have this. And I was like, awesome. So even if I don't get any money, I can still get back to the airport on the bus, and I can fly home, and I have money on my Charlie card, so I can get from the airport to my house. It's all set. The only thing would be that, like, I wouldn't be able to pay my sister-in-law back when I promised her that I would today. But again, you can't count on things, right? You can't. How many times do I have to learn? Don't count on money until it's in the bank. Even if people say they're going to pay you, that's not necessarily what's going to happen. So, all right. So if that happens and I get no money whatsoever, I'm not going to starve. You know, I'm not going to freeze. I have a place to sleep. I can get home. And if anything, like, if there's a real problem, I have friends here who will help me. Well, I'll just have to pay back. But, you know, like, if the worst thing that could happen in this situation is I don't have the money for the hotel at the end of the week, and it gets charged to my mother's credit card, which would really be bad. but wouldn't cause me death. But it would be very bad. But we're not going to think about that because we don't really want to call that into being, right? That's not something we want to start thinking about and like focusing on, and then that would be exactly what's happened, right? No, we focus on the next right action. We focus on the good things that can happen and that we're looking to create, and being grateful. Okay, universe, I feel a little screwed over, but that's just my mind telling me that I'm screwed over. My mind is not me, nor is it necessarily rational. It does not know what it's talking about most of the time. So we're just going to kind of allow my mind to say and do what it's going to do. Same thing with the emotions. And we're just going to trust. We're just going to, okay, I'm scared and my brain is saying a lot of crazy shit. But okay, the universe is, I mean, what, like, honestly, what else can you do? Like, whether or not you admit it, the universe is who is in control. You are not in control. I am not in control. So the only intelligent thing to do is just be like, okay, whatever you want. I'm not going to freak out about it. So I'm grateful for that lesson, right? Because I have been in the past someone who freaks out about things. And this is teaching me not to do that, right? And I'm learning more and more each time. I'm learning, it's quicker each time. Like, okay, actually, no, I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like it's getting to be like that. It's maybe soon, it's just gonna be like, no, I'm okay. You know, and then it won't even be like, it'll just be like, I'm okay. You know, so that's what we're looking forward to. We're grateful that the universe is teaching us that, us, the royal we, because it's a pretty good thing to learn. And I think life will be a lot more comfortable when I just like, I don't have control over that. So, okay. Like, that's how it's going to be. I'm fine with that. Right. Like, I think that's the best way to be. And I think that's what I'm learning right now. Like, okay, that's what's going to happen. I'm fine with it. I mean, maybe I'm a little terrified and my brain's doing weird things, but me, the consciousness, we're good. We're good. And I recognize that it's my brain and my emotions going a little haywire, but I'm not getting lost in them. I'm just watching them and being like, huh, my brain and my emotions are going a little haywire. Interesting. This is part of the human experience. So that's what I'm going to be grateful for. And I'm going to be grateful for anybody out there who is watching this who maybe gets something from this. And I hope that anybody who watches this does take something away from it. So that's from me to you out there in Facebook land. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the universe. I appreciate us as beings of light and consciousness on a different plane and yet still coexisting with this physical reality thing. Yeah, that's nuts, right? That's another conversation though. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Facebook. Or at least this part of Facebook. No, I'm grateful for Facebook, even though it's kind of scary, but that's another story. And I am grateful for the people here that I'm getting to know better. Yeah, and the opportunities that it is affording me. I'm grateful, so great. I'm really grateful for a lot of the stuff. Let's be honest. There's a lot of stuff to be grateful for. Let's stop focusing on the one or two things that I've like distracting me from the fact that this is pretty good. I got it pretty good. So I'm going to be grateful for that. Thank you for the lesson, universe, because that really is a good lesson to learn. That's the other thing is like, okay, I can keep going with this. There's also the recognition, the recognition that like some of the thinking, some of the thoughts and feelings I've been having are relics from an earlier belief and thought system. You know, I mean, and it's stuff that, again, like it's stuff that I thought I cleared. It's been 20 odd years, maybe 18. Let's see. I think I finally admitted to myself that I don't believe in the Christian God. Maybe when I was like 26, 27. Like from the age of like 14 until then, I fought with it. Like, no, I do believe in Jesus. And it's like finally one day I was like, I gotta admit to myself that I don't. And I have to accept that. And then once I did that, it was like, oh, so the rest of the stuff I don't need to actually be scared of because I don't believe in it. It's not like I think that's gonna happen. So it's okay. So I think though, when you're indoctrinated into religion at a young age, there's still these holdovers, right? These hangups that you think maybe you've gotten rid of, and don't really, you recognize logically they don't make a lot of sense, but there's still that like shadow of feeling, oh, I'm being punished, or again, like the depression, right? Like I hear those thoughts coming back into my head, those like, oh, you're so fucking stupid, like I can't believe you did this to yourself, look at you, you fuck everything. Sorry, a little alarm going off. But all those thoughts, right, that I recognize very clearly. But the good thing about that, again, is that I'm like, oh, those are those thoughts. Well, we're not going to go with those ones, are we? We know what happens. We know what happens when we go with those thoughts. We're not going to go with those thoughts. Thanks, thoughts. Thank you for your input. I appreciate you. I'm just not going to listen to you anymore because I know what happens when I listen to you. So, and I know that you're completely, I'm talking to my thoughts here, right? I know that you're completely not based in reality. So we're just going to let you be what you are. Just kind of walk away from those. So, I mean, like, I'm grateful. Ooh, that is something to be grateful for, right? To know that those thoughts aren't real and to recognize them and say, you know what? I know what happens when I go with you, and I'm not going to. Thank you for your input. I appreciate you being here. I am going to walk away from you, though. So I'm grateful for that realization because, whew, when I didn't know that, that was bad. So that's something else to be grateful for, right? There's so much to be grateful for. Focusing on the one or two things that like you feel shouldn't be happening, which feeling and thought, like you're just, who says that they're not, other than you not liking them, what makes them wrong? You know, like let's be honest, like who am I to say that this shouldn't be happening? It's what's happening. Nothing I can do really can change it. It's what's happening. So I can either curse and feel awful about it, or I can be like, I guess that's what's happening. I have a lot of other things to be grateful for, so I'm going to focus on those things. This feels much better, guys. This is much better than being like, oh, I don't know, what should I do? Should I like fast? Does she want me to fast? Like, should I just not eat anything for a few days? Because that's the old thinking, right? That's the like, what am I, how can I, that's like I was saying earlier, like, how can I appease this God? It's like this, you know, like it's really a primitive way of thinking. Like, you know, like you're some like Aztec that's like, oh, the rain hasn't rained. What did we do wrong? We need it to rain. Let's kill some people and see if that does something better. You know, it's like, that's not how it works. I don't know how exactly it works, but it's not that. It's not that. You don't have to appease gods with some sort of sacrifice or pain. It's really more about appreciating what is and being grateful and not just focusing on the things that you think shouldn't be happening, right? Because like there's like every part of that sentence is like, think about this. You think it shouldn't be happening, but it's happening. Anyway, I could go in circles and talk about this all day long. So I think I've gotten my point across. And I am really grateful to be taught this lesson right now. So I'm going to be, thank you. I'm so grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. My clients are going to pay, have decided not to pay me. I'm grateful. Let's see where it goes, right? What else can I do? I can't keep being like, you owe me money, you know, because that's not going to work. So, yeah. The thing we gotta remember, another thing is like, you feel the feels, you think the thoughts, don't act from them. Because maybe the text I sent could have been, I don't think it was bad, but could probably have been worded a bit more diplomatically. You know, he was basically like, well, you know, the money was due upon the completion of the final draft, the final product. And since I'm not doing that, like, why should I give you the money? And my response was like, oh, I see how you would feel that way from this angle. Even if you choose not to, you know, I deliver the first draft, and if you choose not to go to the second draft, that means the first draft is the final draft. I did everything. That was my part of the agreement. I held up my end of the bargain. Because you didn't follow through with yours doesn't mean you shouldn't pay me for the work that I did. Because I finished. I did what I said I was going to do. I did all the work. The only thing that was left, I didn't say, okay, I'm going into it, but the only thing that was left was his work, which was for him to read it and give me his feedback. And then I would incorporate the feedback. That's all. But you know what? I got you, universe. It's okay. It's okay. Because whether or not he pays, I'm going to be all right. In the end, I'm going to be all right. I am all right. So we'll take this. I'm really hoping that he does pay. Like, I mean, honestly, let's be honest. Like, my heart is like, please, universe, please. Let's just, I'll acknowledge that. I very much want him to pay. But it's going to be what it is. And I'm just going to have to not forget about it. So good lesson. Hope you guys got something out of it. I am grateful for a lot. For everything else in my life, except for like the two things that I'm like, about. Let's just not focus on those. And we're going to have a good time. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. And that if you're freaking out, you too can choose. I mean, it might take you a few minutes to like get there, but you can always choose to have a grateful night.